3 letters from Kurt Vonnegut. Kurt Vonnegut's letter to students, November 5th, 2006. Dear Xavier High School, and Miss Lockwood, and Messrs. Perrin, McFeely, Batten, Maurer, and Congiusta. I thank you for your friendly letters. You sure know how to cheer up a really old geezer, 84, in his sunset years. I don't make public appearances anymore, because I now resemble nothing so much as an iguana. What I had to say to you, moreover, would not take long, to wit, practice any art. Music, singing, dancing, acting, drawing, painting, sculpting, poetry, fiction, essays, reportage, no matter how well or badly. Not to get money and fame, but to experience becoming. To find out what's inside you. To make your soul grow. Seriously. I mean, starting right now, do art, and do it for the rest of your lives. Draw a funny or nice picture of Miss Lockwood, and give it to her. Dance home after school, and sing in the shower, and on and on. Make a face in your mashed potatoes. Pretend you're Count Dracula. Here's an assignment for tonight, and I hope Miss Lockwood will flunk you if you don't do it. Write a 6-line poem about anything, but rhymed, no fair tennis without a net. Make it as good as you possibly can, but don't tell anybody what you're doing. Don't show it or recite it to anybody, not even your girlfriend or parents or whatever, or Miss Lockwood. Okay? Tear it up into teeny-weeny pieces and discard them into widely separated trash receptacles. You will find that you have already been gloriously rewarded for your poem. You have experienced becoming, learned a lot more about what's inside you, and you have made your soul grow. God bless you all. Kurt Vonnegut. Kurt Vonnegut's letter to the chairman of the Drake School Board. November 16th, 1973. Dear Mr. McCarthy, I'm writing to you in your capacity as chairman of the Drake School Board. I am among those American writers whose books have been destroyed in the now famous furnace of your school. Certain members of your community have suggested that my work is evil. This is extraordinarily insulting to me. The news from Drake indicates to me that books and writers are very unreal to you people. I am writing this letter to let you know how real I am. I want you to know, too, that my publisher and I have done absolutely nothing to exploit the disgusting news from Drake. We are not clapping each other on the back, crowing about all the books we will sell because of the news. We have declined to go on television, have written no fiery letters to editorial pages, have granted no lengthy interviews. We are angered and sickened and saddened, and no copies of this letter have been sent to anybody else. You now hold the only copy in your hands. It is a strictly private letter from me to the people of Drake, who have done so much to damage my reputation in the eyes of their children, and then in the eyes of the world. Do you have the courage and ordinary decency to show this letter to the people, or will it, too, be consigned to the fires of your furnace? I gather from what I read in the papers and hear on television that you imagine me, and some other writers too, as being sort of rat-like people who enjoy making money from poisoning the minds of young people. I am in fact a large, strong person, 51 years old, who did a lot of farm work as a boy, who was good with tools. I've raised 6 children, 3 my own and 3 adopted. They have all turned out well. 2 of them are farmers. I am a combat infantry veteran from World War II and hold a Purple Heart. I have earned whatever I own by hard work. I have never been arrested or sued for anything. I am so much trusted with young people and by young people that I have served on the faculties of the University of Iowa, Harvard, and the City College of New York. Every year I receive at least a dozen invitations to be commencement speaker at colleges and high schools. My books are probably more widely used in schools than those of any other living American fiction writer. If you were to bother to read my books, to behave as educated persons would, you would have learned that they are not sexy and do not argue in favor of wildness of any kind. They beg that people be kinder and more responsible than they often are. It is true that some of the characters speak coarsely. That is because people speak coarsely in real life. Especially soldiers and hard-working men speak coarsely. And even our most sheltered children know that. And we all know, too, that those words really don't damage children much. They didn't damage us when we were young. It was evil deeds and lying that hurt us. After I've said all this, I am sure you are still ready to respond, in effect, yes, yes, but it still remains our right and our responsibility to decide what books our children are going to be made read in the community. This is surely so. But it is also true that if you exercise that right and fulfill that responsibility in an ignorant, harsh, un-American manner, then people are entitled to call you bad citizens and fools. Even your own children are entitled to call you that. I read in the newspaper that your community is mystified by the outcry from all over the country about what you have done. Well, you have discovered that Drake is a part of American civilization, and your fellow Americans can't stand it that you have behaved in such an uncivilized way. Perhaps you will learn from this that books are sacred to free men, for very good reasons, and that wars have been fought against nations which hate books and burn them. If you are an American, you must allow all ideas to circulate freely in your community, not merely your own. If you and your board are now determined to show that you in fact have wisdom and maturity when you exercise your powers over the education of our young, then you should acknowledge that it was a rotten lesson you taught young people in a free society when you denounced and then burned books. Books you hadn't even read. You should also resolve to expose your children to all sorts of opinions and information, in order that they will be better equipped to make decisions and survive. Again, you have insulted me, and I am a good citizen, and I am very real. Kurt Vonnegut. Kurt Vonnegut's letter to the people of the future. Ladies and gentlemen of AD 2088, it has been suggested that you might welcome words of wisdom from the past, and that several of us in the 20th century should send you some. Do you know this advice from Polonius in Shakespeare's Hamlet? This, above all, to thine own self be true. Or what about these instructions from St. John the Divine? Fear God and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment has come. The best advice from my own era, for you or for just about anybody anytime, I guess, is a prayer first used by alcoholics who hoped to never take a drink again. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Our century hasn't been as free with words of wisdom as some others, I think. I think because we were the first to get reliable information about the human situation. How many of us there were, how much food we could raise or gather, how fast we were reproducing, what made us sick, what made us die, how much damage we were doing to the air and water and topsoil on which the life forms depended, and how violent and heartless nature can be, and on and on. Who could wax wise with so much bad news pouring in? For me, the most paralyzing news was that nature was no conservationist. It needed no help from us in taking the planet apart and putting it back together some different way, not necessarily improving it from the viewpoint of living things. It set fire to forests with lightning bolts. It paved vast tracts of arable land with lava, which could no more support life than big city parking lots. It had in the past sent glaciers down from the North Pole to grind up major portions of Asia, Europe, and North America. Nor was there any reason to think that it wouldn't do that again someday. At this very moment, it is turning African farms to deserts, and can be expected to heave up tidal waves or shower down white-hot boulders from outer space at any time. It has not only exterminated exquisitely evolved species in a twinkling, but drained oceans and drowned continents as well. If people think nature is their friend, then they sure don't need an enemy. Yes, and as you people 100 years from now must know full well, and as your grandchildren will know even better, Nature is ruthless when it comes to matching the quality of life in any given place at any given time to the quality of nourishment available. So what have you and nature done about overpopulation? Back here in 1988, we were seeing ourselves as a new sort of glacier, warm-blooded and clever, unstoppable, about to gobble up everything and then make love, and then double in size again. On second thought, I'm not sure I could bear to hear what you and nature may have done about too many people for too small a food supply. And here's a crazy idea I would like to try on you. Is it possible that we aimed rockets with hydrogen bomb warheads at each other, all set to go, in order to take our minds off the deeper problem? How cruelly nature can be expected to treat us? Nature being nature, in the by and by. Now that we can discuss the mess we are in with some precision, I hope you have stopped choosing abysmally ignorant optimists for positions of leadership. They were useful only so long as nobody had a clue as to what was really going on during the past 7 million years or so. In my time, they have been catastrophic as heads of sophisticated institutions with real work to do. The sort of leaders we need now are not those who promise ultimate victory over nature through perseverance in living as we do right now, but those with the courage and intelligence to present to the world what appears to be nature's stern but reasonable surrender terms. 1. Reduce and stabilize your population. 2. Stop poisoning the air, the water, and the topsoil. 3. Stop preparing for war and start dealing with your real problems. 4. Teach your kids, and yourselves too while you're at it, how to inhabit a small planet without helping to kill it. 5. Stop thinking science can fix anything if you give it $1 trillion. 6. Stop thinking your grandchildren will be okay no matter how wasteful or destructive you may be, since they can go to a nice new planet on a spaceship. This is really mean. And stupid. 7. And so on. Or else. Am I too pessimistic about life 100 years from now? Maybe I have spent too much time with scientists and not enough time with speechwriters for politicians. For all I know, even bag ladies and bag gentlemen will have their own personal helicopters or rocket belts in AD 2088. Nobody will have to leave home to go to work or school or even stop watching television. Everybody will sit around all day punching the keys of computer terminals connected to everything there is and sip orange drink through straws like the astronauts. Cheers. Kurt Vonnegut. Thank you so much for listening through to the end. If you have a second, please like and subscribe and maybe even comment telling me what you'd like to hear next. Till next time, happy listening.